There is no policy set out by the Menteri in this administration without the say-so of the president. Right? So,
welcome back, Weeboos. And as you can see, we have a very different set today. We're not in our usual podcast set.
Yep, we're not.
Because today's guest is special in the sense that she is actually a sitting member of the House of Representatives. Unlike our previous guests who were not sitting members of everything.
Of everything.
Of anything.
Adobe.
Sorry, Pa Anis, sorry, Pa Hawk. We love you. We're just kidding. So yeah.
I'm not entering. Okay, we're done. Bye.
So please welcome Wakil Ketua Komisi 7 DPR, Mbak Rahayu Saraswati. Yes, thank you for letting us use your office for this.
Thank you for coming all the way here.
No problem.
Okay. Thank you so much.
So sorry I had to get you guys here, but this is I'm a working
Exactly. Yeah.
representative.
Because
So
our previous
Adobe,
our previous-
udah.
Pak Anis, Pa Hawk,
do not get me in this. Oh my god.
Okay, anyway, so first of all, I'm going to address the elephant in the room.
Right.
I'm sorry about the mic. I forgot my mic. That's it. I've addressed it. It's done. It's
No,
done.
let's underline something. I actually offered him the use of a mic.
Yeah.
I actually
But I
carry.
have
But
this exact thing.
so he apparently he wants to have this, take the spotlight
No, I swear.
because it's in your face,
Yeah,
He-
and it
he's-
looks weird. Okay.
Okay, but actually, that is not the real elephant in the room, right?
Okay.
It's not. So we need to address the real elephant in the room.
Ooh.
So, Basara,
Yes.
this is very serious. Do you know that Andovi never actually follow you back on Instagram?
Okay, sundan.
I swear to God, check it right now.
Sundan.
Andovi check.
Sundan. Okay, Masara, I'm so sorry. I am.
Tuh kan? Tuh,
oh my
tuh.
God, there is actual proof.
Oh,
Follow back.
Okay, I will now. Okay, Masara, I am so sorry.
Yes. Did he do that just
No.
right before?
He unfollowed. No, he didn't.
So,
No, I checked. He never followed you.
guys, ini very very bad.
Okay.
Masara, I will follow you back right now. I'm so sorry. We have DM'd each other over the past. I am so sorry. Now she hates me. Thank you, Abigail, for
No
putting my
problem.
laundry,
No
my dirty
problem.
laundry is
Yeah,
all
no
over.
problem.
Okay.
That's
Don't
okay.
forget to hold your mic.
Don't worry, Andovi. I've got a big enough heart.
Yeah.
You don't have to follow me. It's okay. It's okay.
Now-
It's enough that I'm a fan of yours. You don't have to be a fan of
my
mine.
God.
Now
Yeah,
the
it's
act of
okay.
him following you back seems fake. Like it's like force, right?
And it's
Yeah.
okay. And it's totally okay.
So legit, this is how we knew. I legit didn't unfollow you for this bit. I legit checked your Instagram, right? Like, okay,
No,
so
this is worse because he's stalking you, right?
I was talking.
He stalks me. No, actually, this is better. This is actually better. No, honestly speaking, it's better. He doesn't follow me, but he stalks me. It's
I
actually
know.
better.
It's
More of a. It's like I feel so honored.
So when we were talking, I was like, wait, Abigail, tunggu, I haven't followed. And then we thought about this bit.
it
So
just
that's
keeps getting worse and worse.
Yeah,
That's okay.
Okay, but that's it.
This is a great start to
It's a
this
great start
podcast.
for this
Great
podcast.
start.
Yes,
Amazing.
I'm
Yes.
Dodi with the mic and the not follow back. All right, so we're gonna start this podcast by asking questions, and we're gonna get to your questions, Weeboos. But the first question I want to ask is, it's actually a legit concern of mine personally, and I know that you have 2 children. Correct me if I'm wrong. Three. I'm so
Three.
sorry. 3 children.
Yeah.
And right now, I feel that social media has gone, in 2025, the use of social media is crazy.
Yeah.
Just in 2025?
It's since forever.
Been a while.
And now many
Especially.
countries around the world have gotten and done their legislative powers. For example, Australia banned social media under kids for the whatever.
Under
England,
16.
Yeah.
Under 16. UK.
Starting a movement.
As someone with 3 children, first of all, will you let your children use Instagram? And what do you think about this? And does Indonesia need a legislative action towards
Yeah.
the use of social media?
So, first of all, I fully support what Australia has implemented on the ban for social media for children under 16. I think that that's fair, and I think that that's a way for them to protect their children. Number 2, I myself will not be giving my children mobile phones until the age of probably 13.
Oh wow. Okay.
Right?
Right.
So all their friends, as far as I know, have mobile phones.
Okay.
Quite a, the majority.
The
Not
majority.
maybe not
Yeah.
all, but the majority. I don't believe he needs it because his teachers can always get in touch with me if he needs anything.
Okay.
It's my way of protecting him as well because even I did not have a mobile phone until I was 13.
Right.
That's
right.
true.
So social media is just another. So it doesn't mean that he doesn't have gadgets. And what I mean by that is
Right.
he has a laptop because he needs it nowadays for his schoolwork
Yeah. Right. Right.
and for lessons because he does coding lessons, etc. So but it's not. We didn't buy it for him. He just got his father's old laptop,
okay.
because it's like he can still use it, right? Again,
Yeah.
it's just a way for him to also. We need to instill value, to instill the sense of what the value of something, right?
Right.
I'm not saying that I'm going to get him to work. Some parents are like, you've got chores to do.
Right.
And I tried doing that. It just didn't work. Hence why, I do like the idea of, and I did see the experiment done in the UK.
Yeah.
The documentary, there was a clip of it anyway on social media. And it was just really encouraging to see how I think it was like 1 month or something like that, right?
Right. Yeah.
Where few schools decided that their
No social
children,
media.
not even no mobile phone.
No
Wow.
mobile phone.
Yeah.
They actually had to give their mobile phones in, and so you in this clip of the documentary that they showed, it was like these kids in the first few days are like looking into the oh, that's my mobile phone, right? Like it's in a glass box, right,
Okay.
or plastic box, whatever it is. So they're like looking at it and they're like, you're seeing the withdrawal symptoms and all of that.
Yeah.
But it turns out that they're like, after a while, they're like so grateful for that experiment. And quite a few of them have said that they have better eye contact. They are actually now playing, going around with bikes.
Yeah.
Is it not motorbikes? Bicycles.
Right, yeah.
Right. And having better connections and again, quality time. Quality time with their families where usually you're like, on their own gadgets or just playing and scrolling, but they actually get to play board games again and read books.
Yeah.
So I think it's important, and I want to say this not for the children. I want to say this to the parents, actually. I'm not saying you should think the way I think, or you can have your own ideas of how you want to raise your children. But I think it's important for us to set boundaries, right? I mean, we know that as parents. I mean, if you love your children, boundaries are important.
Yeah.
Because boundaries, it's actually a way for us to show that we care.
Right.
Because if there are no boundaries, you're basically saying, I don't care what you're going to do with your life.
Okay.
I don't know who you're going to be when you grow up,
Yeah.
right? Do whatever.
Right.
That's not love, right? I mean, love is for us to prepare our kids. And I remember, sorry, it's taking a bit long.
No,
but,
it's okay.
But it's interesting that you bring up this subject. But I remember being in it's like a workshop for personal branding one time.
Okay.
You might think, what's that's got to do with what we're talking about? But the speaker, she's a personal branding expert from Singapore.
Yeah.
And, she's this very strong woman with, such a presence on stage, So, I mean, you think, okay, she knows what she's talking about.
Right.
And she brought up how, she's like, one of the biggest mistakes, because it was a workshop for women, right?
Okay.
For women. And she was saying, one of the biggest mistakes we do as a mother, bringing up our children, we look at them as our babies.
Okay.
There are babies that are like, you don't want them to get hurt. You just want to keep them safe forever. You're babying them because you're just like, they're my babies. And she's like, no, I never look at my children that way. My children are future leaders. My children need to know. So if they have done a mistake, they need to set what their punishment are. And sometimes it gets really creative, but it's, anyway. But the point is, that is like what's stuck with me.
Yeah.
Because this was a workshop before actually I had any children.
Okay.
So I knew when I'm bringing up my children, for me, it's like, look, God gave them through me, not to me, but through me, for me to, my responsibility as a mom is actually to prepare them to be who they need to be and reach their full potential, right? It's, they're not here to serve me or to be mine, you know, they're here for their own purpose. So that's why, you know, boundaries, no matter, you know, of course we do it with love.
Right.
And I always give my kids a choice. Even when it comes to like bedtime, they're negotiating, right? I give choice. So in this instance, it's like, you know, it doesn't mean that obviously it's very hard choices, right? It's like, well, yes, you can stay up later tonight, but you know, it's either you stay up later tonight or you're going to have to do something tomorrow. It's, you know, you give the choices. But in this case, you know, with the gadgets, that's a boundary where I say, look, you know, and thankfully my children never asked. Like my eldest, who's 9, all his friends have mobile phones.
And he doesn't.
He never asked.
That's an anomaly.
That's very interesting.
Right? But I mean, I can't really read his mind, but I think the number one is because he knows how much I love him. I make sure he knows every day I tell him I love him. And I hope that means that he can trust that whatever I, you know, do and whatever I make decisions for him, it's for his good.
Okay.
I'll just stop there because otherwise this will be like a parenting talk.
No, but that's really
and then
good.
I'm like, oh, how she's old. Like, no, I'm a millennial.
We're all old.
We're millennials.
We're
millennials.
No, but that's so interesting though. So viewing your child as like a future leader as opposed to like my baby, right?
Yeah, right.
And I think as a future leader, I think you are considered like a current leader to the country.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Undeniably.
Really?
I mean, we're in your office, right?
I mean, literally,
Literally.
We're here.
Literally. Yeah.
No. Okay. We'll not argue that point.
Yes. And I think you are currently in the House of Representatives, right? Komisi 7, so Commission 7. So that deals with tourism and
creative economy,
UMKM,
MSMEs, and also perindustrian.
Yes. I bet like a lot of our viewers currently, they probably know like the big picture about like DPR, you know, like House of Representatives, they represent the people, you know, like very big picture. But I bet a lot of you don't really know like the intricacies of how DPR actually works and what you actually do, how do you actually negotiate, and even like when they hear Komisi 7, what is a commission? Like what the hell is a commission, right? What is fraksi, you know? And
I know.
You're like how much time you got?
That's such a long.
Itu kayak berapa SKS, Bo, in like FISIP, you know.
Like, explain it to the layman, the weebos out there who are actually interested to know. But they're like, you know what? It's confusing.
Just like very simple, oversimplified, right?
Okay, well, actually, I started doing a Metso series, right? Of doing makeup while explaining what is. Yeah. And you know what? The first one I ever put up.
What?
Talking about, you know, DPR as in what is actually
what
DPR.
Is it?
So you can actually follow.
Like me, I follow. I follow.
Do you really? Yeah, a little bit. But anyway, no. So actually, the first one, your brother actually was. You know what he said? He said, "I can't believe it, but it's the first makeup video ever I watched until the end." he's like. Oh wow, this is actually the first makeup video I watched all the way through.
And that's saying something because his girlfriend does makeup videos daily.
Oh my god, please. I hope she
doesn't watch Kejia's video. Kajo watches Masara's video. Wow, Kajo. Wow, this is so funny.
This is turning out to be a very controversial episode.
I feel bad. Okay, did not mean to call you out.
Kajo,
Well, maybe he watches. Just mine are short. Mine are short. Mine are short. Mine are not long. 90 seconds. But no, I do actually explain. However, that was in the previous term, right?
Right.
Where we have different commissions now. So booth, because it's like we booth, right? Yeah, booth. All right, here's the thing.
Booze. Did she just call the Weeboo's booze? I love it. I love it.
I love it. Yeah.
You're my booze, you know? You're my booze. All right, so rather than boo-boos. All right, so simple is this, is that obviously there's different branches of the government, right? When you're talking about government, politics is a way to govern. It's a way to ensure that there are rules and regulations, and basically what a country is the way it is because of the values it stands for. And that's translated into rules and regulations. Now, the three pillars of government or politics is the executives, legislatives, and the judicative, right? So the judicial system, right? Now, executive executes whatever, they implement the rules and regulations. Who makes the rules and regulations? It's the DPR. Itu legislatif. Legislative, so you make legislasi, right? The legal aspect. Nah, the other aspect that's, of the legal is the aparat penegak hukum. That's the judicial system, the judicative, hakim, jaksa, polisi, main thing. Nah, I'll focus on the DPR part. And I'm so sorry if there are like professors out there who might watch this and like, oh my God, she's making a mistake. Which means, please don't take my word for it. I am trying to explain as simply as I can, right? Because, and believe you me, there are probably quite a lot of anggota DPR who might not even understand everything. Okay, I'm just saying it the way.
And these are the names of that.
I will not call them out, but no, honestly, because if you, okay, I'm not gonna go there. I'm not gonna go there. Focus. Okay. Right. So, for example, number one, the commissions, right? We have what's called alat kelengkapan dewan. So that's komisi and also badan-badan. So. There's badan legislative, which of course all the regulations have to go through there.
Okay.
Anything that's being proposed, any bills, any acts, pokoknya rancangan undang-undang atau revisi undang-undang harus lewat badan legislasi.
Alright.
Okay. Setelah balik badan legislasi, there's also badan anggaran. So also all to do with berapa anggaran yang di kementerian ini,
so the
berapa
budget,
the budgeting, that's the budgeting body. Where it come from all the different fraksi-fraksi, which is the partai yang berhasil untuk duduk di DPR, and can be from any commission. Okay, tapi fokusnya adalah anggaran. And then there's badan kerjasama antar parlemen, is to do with the diplomasi, and then there's badan, aspirasi masyarakat, penyerapan aspirasi. So when you demo, you meet with them.
Right.
Okay, and there's badan urusan rumah tangga, which deals with everything to do with our budget.
Okay.
And whether or not we need a new lift, elevator, because if you went through this morning, well, at least you went up before.
Yes, I went up before.
Rapat paripurna bubar, right? Yeah, otherwise you'd be waiting for an hour. Because imagine there's only a few elevators, and there's 580 anggota DPR all wanting to go up. So anyway, okay. Komisi back again. We have what's called mitra, right? Partners within the executive body. Now the executive body, depending on how big the cabinet is, right? That also basically links to how many komisi we have.
Okay.
Because akan dibagi-bagi, we'll divide it to these commissions.
Right.
So we mentioned my commission, the 7th commission, last term or during the administration of Pak Jokowi, it used to be, everybody knows Komisi 7 as, oh wow, it's so powerful because you have SDM, energy, right?
Energy, okay.
So it's like, so much power and so much money,
Right.
But it's all changed because now instead of 11 commissions, we have 13.
We have 13. So we add 2 more.
We added 2 more. And obviously the pembagian jadinya berubah gitu. 7 happens to be one of the newer ones.
So this is
Okay.
the tourism one.
Itu karena ada
Creative
beberapa dari what was previously in other commissions jadi ke 7.
Right.
And then 12 and 13 new.
Right.
But was it your person, like, you got voted in, you won your House of Representative by the votes of the people in Jakarta district, I forgot.
3.
Okay, please explain to me, how were you like, I want to be in the 7th commission? Or was it a meeting that was held internally between the parties, or were like, okay, you go to the 7th commission, you go to the 1st, 2nd, 4th, or were you like, no, I want to go to the 7th
For
commission?
those of you interested in politics, you need to pay attention to this podcast. Because there's a lot of like how the game is played that's being actually
Spill.
being shown here. So here's the thing. What a lot of people don't know, even those who are in politics, okay, is that some people have the choice and some people don't. Okay, because within parties, factions, there are
Hierarchies.
levels, right? Hierarchies.
Privilege level.
As in, exactly, the more senior you are within the party, the more sway you have to decide whether or not, first of all, the fact that you can even decide. But usually before we have the commissions, so this was what was really actually confusing even for us, because we were deciding our commission based on the previous administration.
Okay, I see.
Right? So we were still thinking out of 11. But at the very beginning, before, because Gerindra we had diklat, right? We had a diklat yang sekolah, di mana we all for 3 days basically.
So that's like, what do you call that?
Boot camp.
Boot camp.
So what the ministers went through,
Yeah.
we already went through that at the beginning of our term,
okay.
before we were sworn in. And during that time, we're actually given a piece of paper that we need to fill in what's our first choice, second choice, third choice.
Oh,
So it's giving me like university vibes.
it's like university vibes.
Like
You wanna go
you have
to UI,
orientation.
you wanna go to-
Or which facultas.
Yeah, which facultas?
And then you have orientation before that, right?
Exactly. We had our orientation. That was
Yeah.
what it was. So we actually, now some have more, again, as I said, more sway, more power, leeway. Because as soon as it was, the powers that be knew that it was going to be like 13 commissions,
Right.
then of course the leaders who are, from the party, we're the first in line to decide where we want to go. So my cousin, who is ketua fraksi, he's the one who has the biggest say in who goes where. He's the one who basically pulls your plug, or he's
Got
so. Since we knew already he was going to be ketua fraksi, he was the one who was basically contacting the potential leaders of the commissions and say, will you accept this position or not?
Okay.
And I because I'm salah satu wakil ketua umum dari Partai Gerindra, and also second term, all right? My first term was 2014-2019. I had one of those privileges to decide whether or not I would be a wakil ketua komisi. And after all was laid out, karena kan banyak incumbent yang this is their second or third term, right?
Some people have 5 terms.
Dude.
Yeah.
I want to watch you interview them. I'll give you all the questions. But no, I mean, so we had, some of us had the choice.
Okay, that's very interesting.
Okay, so you being in the 7th commission is your choice then.
Yeah.
This one.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Now, when we talk about tourism, okay, I wanna ask this is like a very personal question.
Okay.
Okay, when you're in
Personal
the
to you or
7th
personal to
commission
me?
tourism, it's very personal to me. Actually.
Okay, got it. Okay.
In tourism, I gotta talk about those Russians in Bali. I'm not saying all Russians are bad. I'm not saying that.
Yeah.
But the Russians that I do see in Bali. So basically, my
And
question
there's a lot. Yeah.
That's
there's
okay.
a
No,
lot.
take it.
Yes,
Just okay.
Okay.
We'll give you the space.
Because I know that a lot of people have been talking about this, and there's this one person from the representative Banilu.
Oh yeah, Nilu Jelantik.
Yeah.
DPD.
DPD. She's been very vocal about it.
That's another.
That's another thing. DPD is completely different.
Yeah.
But what is your what can you do as a member, Commission 7 on DPR to do with all these problems in, let's just say, a very specific problem I'm giving here. The ratchet Russians in Bali. So what can you do about it? Like, can you make legislation? Can you talk to the DPRD in Bali, the DPR in Bali? What can be done?
That's a very much localized issue, in my opinion, right? Because it's like Bali, right? I'm not saying that it can't happen anywhere else.
Right.
Potentially can, because they found a loophole, as what a lot of foreigners who own property in Indonesia, what they do is they pay somebody to be their,
They pay a local Balinese person to
proxy, that's the word, right? Jadi middleman, ya kan? Yang atas nama orang itu dia beli tanahnya, tapi sebenarnya yang punyanya adalah yang ngasih duitnya adalah the foreigner. Nah, ini yang memang it's very concerning that we don't have enough eyes, right? Karena kan it's about oversight, ya kan? I mean, it's not like we're gonna expect the country or the government to check every single ownership of land ownership. But you know what? Let me just say one thing before we talk about the Russians. Permasalahan tanah di Indonesia is so bad. It is probably the worst I never thought it's this bad until this term.
Really?
Actually. Like this term, gara-gara I talk about, I fought for my friend Rudy Soe, ya kan? I fought for my colleague, di Komisi 3. All of a sudden, semua laporan came to me, tolong ibu bantu kami, all masalah sertifikat tanah. It's insane gitu loh. Ada yang bahkan udah dari zaman kita belum merdeka, bro.
Oh wow.
It's ada semua buktinya, tapi tiba-tiba udah diambil alih atau nggak pernah diberikan, bahwa that's actually there, segala macam. It's a lot like that. And mohon izin, mohon maaf, please jangan kirimnya ke saya karena itu bukan komisi saya. Oke.
So which commission is that?
Komisi 2.
Komisi 2.
Itu tanah.
Second commission.
Pokoknya dalam negeri tanah, that's Komisi 2. And I feel so bad for them. Karena kan, again, Komisi 2 itu overseeing-nya kan. Bikin peraturannya itu di mereka. So actually, even persoalan ini, this is not exactly, like the tourism issue, when it becomes a tourism issue, to do with orang lagi berwisata. But itu kan masalah di mana if they're overstaying, terus mereka juga yang tiba-tiba punya property. I mean, we are even seeing these on social media. I saw like a video of orang luar negeri yang claiming, oh ini tanah saya, I'm gonna build this, even a strip club.
Right.
Wow, I did not. Wow.
This person
publicly
said he's gonna build a strip club on his land. And I was like, this is just insane. That's in Bali, gitu.
Right.
Wow.
So this is actually a legal issue and pertanahan issue, gitu.
Okay.
So kalau misalkan, like for me, number one is, don't do anything illegal, ya kan? AKA don't buy land that you're not allowed to own, ya kan? Number two, kalau misalkan memang mau stay di sini, go through the legal channels dong. If you want to own land, be an Indonesian.
Right.
And funnily enough, talking about that's another issue. It's so difficult for anyone to actually become an Indonesian citizen.
Okay. Isn't the fastest way to marry into?
Tapi kan bukan langsung jadi. That's like visa kan.
That's a visa.
Kitas, right? But so many foreigners yang cinta Indonesia, udah tinggal di sini lebih dari I've been alive. Tapi even buat mereka tuh prosesnya bisa susah banget gitu loh. Untuk mereka bisa jadi orang Indonesia. But that's another issue. Ya kan? Tapi kembali lagi, I think it's for us it's ada semacam sosialisasi. And I actually said this once, we need to maybe before people land, because sometimes when we're about to land somewhere, there's a video that shows you the sites, yes. But I think it should also say please respect we have our culture, please respect that kind of thing, softly basically saying look, We welcome you with open arms, but please respect
Right.
the rules that we have here.
So what I'm hearing is that it's actually a law enforcement and oversight issue, not a legislative like.
No, because peraturannya kan udah jelas.
peraturan udah jelas, but it's the enforcing.
It's enforcing and
And
then make it and then
overseeing.
because do we have the resources to actually check every single certificate ownership kan gitu. And then kalau misalkan orangnya pas dicari memang ada, it's like oh ya, tapi saya misalnya harus nunjukin bukti gitu bahwa itu memang disewa or like what do you do? Like do you kick them out of the property that is owned by that person legally gitu kan? Maksudnya kalau memang ada yang claim ya itu memang tanah saya.
So how, like, this is just for
But
an
then it
outsider,
becomes
right?
an immigration issue
Right.
juga. Kan?
So like, how do you even begin to untangle this? So for example, if you say like this is an enforcement and overseeing issue, but we don't really have the resources.
Well,
right?
we should,
Like,
to be honest, in my opinion, we should have the resources.
Right,
If it's
exactly.
become an issue, make the resources.
so who gets to allocate that?
Oke. Ya.
Itu di
DPR,
eksekutif.
di balik.
No,
Oh,
eksekutif.
Executive.
Karena peraturan kalau dari kita sudah jelas.
Oke.
Because
See what I
they're
mean?
only in charge
We're-
of the
we're-
written legislation.
rules. We're talking about
This is about
undang-undang.
enforcing.
Ya kan? Nah, kalau yang ini bisa aja sebenarnya di DPRD itu
Oh, ya,
perda.
DPR.
Perda. Oh, DPR bisa keluarin perda in Bali.
For Bali specifically.
Okay.
Jadi misalnya like okay, if you have land blah blah blah, you need to claim apalah atau pajak lah whatever. And even istilahnya dari segi imigrasi, you know, like if anybody stays for more than atau mereka bolak-balik, there needs to be a question mark dong. Like you bolak-balik like every single month because if you get the usual visa kan harusnya kan you know, so seharusnya kita punya resources untuk ya deportasi kalau perlu gitu loh
So it's
untuk mereka
actually-
yang memang overstay.
So it'll be like the DPRD and even the local governor maybe.
Ya.
Okay.
And this is to do with technology as well, right? I mean, I'm sure there's a way to figure out how they're making money and how they're spending the money here. And I mean, masyarakat adat di Bali itu kan kuat, they're everywhere.
Right.
So if you work together with them and then just make sure bahwa look, if there are people who are not abiding by ini, you need to lapor gitu kan. I mean, there are ways. I'm sure there are creative ways as well.
there
And
must be.
you know, and Mbak Nilu, I'm sure has a lot of thoughts on this as well.
Oh yeah, but yeah, I don't know.
I'm sorry, this is a very personal topic for me.
No, it's not just for you. I think it's for a lot of us Indonesians.
No, yeah, I think for a lot of people, I
Yes.
agree, because it's not just one instance, right? Like back then, I think there's
Ini udah
about-
satu, dude, it's a whole
It's all
compound.
common.
Yeah.
Even in Google Maps.
Yeah, you can see it through on satellite, you know, that like there's a compound yang orang adat aja nggak bisa masuk ke dalam, kan itu nggak boleh dong.
So this is very interesting. So you say like, oh, it's actually you as DPR RI, for example, you're only responsible for this certain level of like written legislative, but after
Karena
that
kan
it's
undang-undang
localized and stuff like that.
It's
right?
very broad.
Yes.
It's yes, it can be like specialis, you know, just
Yeah.
like TPKS, for example,
Yeah.
you know, the kekerasan seksual, sexual abuse or education bill, that's like specialis. But kalau undang-undang, it cannot get too technical.
Yeah,
okay?
yeah.
Because if it gets so technical and detailed, what happens when dengan perubahan zaman, then you need to do revisi lagi, right? Because for example, kalau misalkan di dalamnya we still using misalnya KUHP dari zaman Belanda,
Yeah.
right? Like untuk yang
For current
nyuri
issues.
yang ini dengan yang levelnya kayak gini kan sama, the pidananya, the hukumannya. So things like that yang itu cannot be too detailed.
Yeah, yeah.
Of course untuk pidananya berapa oke dimasukin, but technicalnya untuk how to do it itu ada di peraturan perundang-undangan.
Yeah, and also because Indonesia has enacted a certain level of decentralization,
Yes.
like local governor and they also have like the
Itu
different
bikin capek,
authority.
swear. Oh
so
my
would
God.
you? Okay, so this
Oh
is
my
like a
God,
very
that's another thing.
right. So would you say that I know there are a lot of like reasons why we end up enacting certain level of decentralization, but would you say like to a certain extent decentralization such as this makes issue like what Andovi just brought up very difficult to tackle and very inefficient?
Yeah, but then This is why it gets really interesting when we debate
Yeah.
on these issues
Right.
because for me, when it comes to politics and especially decisions like this, yang not to do with social aspects, but more on like politics and democracy
Yeah.
and ways to do things, I don't think there is a right or wrong.
Yeah.
So for some people, the decentralization might be, how we can move forward and people yang di daerah itu merasa kepemilikan
Yeah,
and
yeah.
that they need to do things for their own selves gitu kan. Tapi ada juga, beberapa yang pasti melihatnya ya like this issue for example, specifically this issue that ini kok mulai ada raja-raja kecil and they're not abiding maybe or
Yep.
karena there's a lot of, by the way, perda regulations that are very discriminatory.
Yeah.
Like hundreds of them. If you talk to Komnas Perempuan, they'll give you the whole list. For example, do you know that in Banten, for example, if a woman is caught outside of her house after 10 p.m., she can actually go to jail.
Wait, still.
Yeah, there's a perda. You better look into it.
2025.
Yeah, which is why this was back in
Back-
2014 when
But
I
still,
found out.
Okay.
Yeah, but still.
I don't know if it's been taken out. I will be talking to
Right.
the incoming governor about this.
Right.
But yeah,
Should Google that.
yeah, we need. There's a whole list of
But, yeah,
regulations, right?
Discriminatory
So
perda.
ini yang jadi tantangan besar sebenarnya, like how to ensure that mau itu dari gubernur or even provinsi,
Yeah.
bupati, dari kabupaten kota, all really abide by undang-undang. We cannot have a perda that doesn't have
Yeah. That goes
the
against the undang-undang.
undang-undang
Yeah.
yang jadi
Like acuannya,
payungnya
ya.
gitu, acuannya. So ini yang it's a big challenge and hopefully masyarakat, the more people understand about this, the more they can be critical about
Okay.
the regulations that are
Yeah.
in place. But going back to your question on decentralization and all that. But for example, a lot of people are pas omnibus law kan
Yeah. Yeah. It was,
gitu,
yeah,
it's
yeah.
like right?
yeah.
Because it's like centralizing again
yeah.
Okay.
that issue. So
yeah. It's
right or wrong,
it's give or take. Like I don't know, it is a very hotly
Yeah.
debated topic, I
Yeah.
would say.
Okay, I want to continue on this, but we have time limit because she is a very busy woman,
Yes,
of course.
yes.
We do want to get to the Weeboos questions.
okay.
Because the Weeboos are very important to us.
Yeah,
Abigail-
boos.
Abigail, please, can we choose the first question or the second question or whatever?
How many
why are you-
questions
why are
are
you
there? Oh my
trying
god!
There are a couple questions.
It's like wow.
Andovi, you choose the first one.
Okay, I choose
This
the
is
first
actually a good sign. Means that they're interested in
one.
asking.
No, they were.
Yeah.
they
Oh
were-
yeah. There you are.
Hey,
Okay, this is a question
I'm
from.
not looking.
You want us to read it to you?
Okay.
Do you want me to read it?
Oh no, we'll wait for you.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
This is from Angita Putrich.
It is.
This is from,
Yeah.
what do you think about the too many government officials who have blundered, seem problematic, and incompetent at the beginning of your uncle's administration? It also seems clear that many government officials were appointed merely as a form of political patronage without regard of their capabilities. This is from Angita Putrich. So what do you think about the government of blundered? You can read the question.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. So, first of all, blundered, problematic, incompetent, very subjective words, right?
Okay.
What probably for me, and this is, I'm not trying to, like
Swerve.
swerve away from the
Yeah.
question, but it's important that layout,
Yeah.
understanding first of all, because what I might think of incompetent, problematic, blunder might be different from Angita
Anggita.
Putrich, right? So, or from any of you. So that's number one. Number two, I don't think even my opinion matters, to be honest, because
Okay.
the one who has the right to deem them problematic, have blundered or incompetent is the president, right? And in my opinion, nobody's perfect. I've been in politics long enough, not saying the longest because again, 5 terms. I've been in politics long enough to know that even the most amazing people that I know who have the right heart for this country can make the same mistakes. And there are those who can make the blunders. So I'm maybe not as to the same extent, but I think it's important to know that nobody's perfect, especially in politics. Okay, and I just want to take this chance to actually remind, especially the youths, the weeboos, okay, that we can keep criticizing, and we can keep saying that gila yang itu jelek banget, yang itu buruk banget, yang whatever. But as long as the ones who actually want to go into politics are those kind of people, what do you expect?
Do you think right now the ones that wanted to go to politics are only
Karena
majority
politics
those
is
kind of
a-
people?
Politics is a game of power.
It is, yeah.
So it's for those who want to have power, right?
Yeah.
It's very rare, to be honest. A lot of the times I feel very lonely to be so idealistic in politics. And I have to learn very quickly how to play the game and how to survive, how to endure, how to be in this world without actually being
Of
a
this
part.
world,
Yeah, right. Okay, let's not go to that too far. But I know what you mean, girl. Okay, like
Got you.
So it's an internal. We get it. She my girl. She my girl. She my girl. She my girl. So it's a thing that it's a skill. It's a soft skill, right? And again, going back to this, that if it's talking about many government officials were appointed. So I'll go into the second part, which is as a form of political patronage. Duh. Like, I mean, no president on the face of the earth will not take that into consideration. Because why would you give important positions to people who don't support you,
Right.
who want to sabotage you?
But I think her point is
It's
in this-
about capabilities.
Without, because I think relationship is always a factor.
Hence
right?
why I want to put the line. At least that part. Please understand that I don't think anywhere in this world don't take
Yeah.
into consideration. Like, it's very rare for a Republican president to appoint Democratic.
Yeah.
So we're talking about America. Without regard for their capabilities. But again, so I know that for my uncle, specifically, I know for him, I'm not going to talk about all presidents. He will give a chance to those who have proven their loyalty, because loyalty is something you can't buy. Finding people who are capable is actually easy enough. And as a business owner, as an entrepreneur, I can tell you, finding people who might have the competence is not that difficult. But finding people with the loyalty, the character, the integrity, to want to stick it out and actually work. It's almost like you ask. I mean, actually, no. One time I asked someone from Freeport.
Okay.
Okay.
Because they have like 5,000, well, in total they have like 30,000 employees. So I'm like, how the heck do you choose? Because every year they recruit, right? And apparently like more than 10,000 apply every year.
Okay.
So I asked, what do you look for when you're recruiting? And he said, character. So I'm not saying capability is not important.
Yeah.
Because heck, I know that there are a lot of other people with capabilities, especially women, with capabilities and with competencies. But I'm not the president. He is right now.
Well, so I think I want to clarify, because I know a lot of viewers will have this question. When you say loyalty, I bet a lot of people will think like loyalty as in yes man.
No.
What do you mean by loyalty when you mentioned that earlier?
See, it's good that you asked this, because it's very important. So loyalty, it does not mean yes man. Loyalty, at least from what I see, what he, as in those that, even with, despite everything and everyone coming at you, segala caci maki, fitnah and everything, you're still there. You're holding your ground, and you're like, I will support you.
So would you say loyalty to the president, or loyalty to whatever the mission or like the goal?
See, you can't take away the mission from the man. I mean, everything that defines him as him,
involves
from when I, when I was yay big, from
Yeah.
when I can even understand the things
Right.
that he lives and breathes his love for this country. So it's if you don't support his vision for this country, then go somewhere
Yeah.
else. And you'll anyway, the filters is like that, right? And so he looks, especially, I mean, look at all the young menteri, despite what people think, whether they're capable or not. But a lot of the young ones are those who have been with him for more than 15, 20 years, who have fought the good fight with him. Gitu loh. Like, how can you not?
Yeah. I think it goes back to like, there won't be a Republican who appoints like
A Democrat.
Democrat.
Yeah.
In the end, it is about,
Values,
like,
yeah,
values
and it goes back to values
Yeah.
juga. And it's like, it's very difficult for a leader to lead if he leads, especially the leaders under him, do not stand for the same things he does.
Right.
And which is why he was very clear. And let's put it this way as well. He's been very clear that, the way he's going to look at it and how he evaluates is the KPI. Will you do what needs to be done to bring kesejahteraan untuk masyarakat? Right? So, and I've said this quite a few times, even in business forums. I say, look, even if there is a reshuffle ever, most likely it will happen. Even if there is a reshuffle, there won't be a change of policies. The policies will remain the same because it's his policies.
Right.
There is no policy set out by the Menteri in this administration without the say-so of the president. Right? So, however, if there is something that they do, for example, that, but then it shows their incompetence. He's not a micromanager in that sense.
Okay.
But the big policies,
Right.
It's basically his. And so whoever becomes is like, can you do what needs to be done? And what I mean by his policies, I'm talking about
The big picture,
big
not
cita-cita.
the how do you do it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
As in like, lu harus
Haluan
ketahanan pangan, we need to have food security within 3 years. How you do it, ya lu harus gimana caranya untuk itu bisa terjadi. Gitu.
But then the how to is usually where there's disagreement, which is
Could be.
Because, like, I think a lot of people would say that lately there's a lot. I don't know how lately I don't know. But there are a couple of, like, for example, peraturan menteri or regulation that are being put out that are not very good. And then after there's a mass protest, it's being redacted. So it's kind of like clean plan stuff like
so
that.
a lot of people are like, these people, they're giving a bad name to the president, da 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 da.
Yeah.
So again, every day, I mean, I feel bad for these ministers because some of them are just not sleeping because they know that that's how he works. I mean, the president like sleeps probably like 5 hours, 6 hours, and you better freaking be there when he gets to the office. So like, if you're not used to that kind of like work mentality, like, you just be prepared to be driven to the ground. So in this sense, like if they're given a chance and they make mistakes over and over and over again, I'm sure there's going to be a line that's drawn and he says, okay, enough. You already proved your incompetence.
I think I'm sorry, I spent like a lot of time, but I think this is like very important because I know that for a lot of people, I think some still can't accept it, but I know for some, they probably can accept the fact that, okay, the president needs to choose based on values, for example, and loyalty and things like that. But I think the key aspect is the KPI. And there's a clear indicator of like, okay, you need to perform this certain level. So it's not an unconditional love in the sense that where I'm like,
the
as long
message,
as you
I mean,
are
it's
loyal
kind of
to
scary
me,
when you
right?
get like hired, and then as soon as you're hired, you're like, I'm going to evaluate you in 6 months.
Yeah.
It's like if you can't deliver within the time I give you with reasonable, like, so it's like, okay, there's already a small writing.
All right. So the next question, this is actually, I think, well, at least the last time I checked, this is the most liked question.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh.
It's from Fadil Ramadhani. Fadil Ramadhani. So, how will you fight the practice of nepotism within the governmental system, given that you yourself are a nepo baby?
Fadil Ramadhani is crazy.
No, not crazy at all. Not crazy at all.
Very straight to the
so
point.
I've been asked questions about nepo babies,
Yeah.
but not in this way, right? So I think we need to lay the groundwork first for what nepotism means.
Okay.
So I
Because in
think
politics,
when people say nepo baby, it just means like you're a child of somebody in power, right?
yeah, but that's the thing. You need to understand, if I were a mantri, maybe you can say that.
Okay.
But I was not elected
Okay, because you were elected.
by my uncle. I was elected
By the people.
If I did not get 50,000 votes in this past election, I would not have been chosen for my seat.
Right.
Right?
Right.
It's the same thing with any of the other nepo babies that are in DPR, whether it's from whichever party.
Yeah.
Okay. I think it's very dangerous to not discriminate. How do you say it? To basically
Stereotype?
Stereotype. Thank you. To say that, oh, when you're a nepo baby, you're all the same, right?
Okay.
Again, nepotism. From my, I feel like I want to open up like freaking
The dictionary.
the dictionary, okay? Because
Merriam-Webster.
yeah, Merriam-Webster, we all know that one. Yeah, but like nepotism is when somebody is chosen, not by merit, but simply by connection.
Yeah.
Do you agree?
I agree. That's
Okay.
the definition. Yeah.
But what if that person actually has merit?
Right. So how do you differentiate between what's merit and what's being chosen because of connections?
So
Yeah.
So I think, well, number one, I always say that I think because again, like, how will you fight the practice of nepotism within the governmental system? First of all, that's not my job.
Whose job
My
is
job is, whose job is it? Yeah, it's the government, right? Everyone in government, as in executive,
Yeah, because it's legislative.
right?
Yeah.
Right? Because if you're talking governmental system within the legislative body, I don't think there is necessarily a way for that unless the people support. Now,
because they're voted in by the
because
people.
again, they're being voted in by the people, at least the way it is right now.
Yeah.
Okay, aka direct voting with open system. Open system means that you are choosing by name that person, or even if you choose the party, but the person who gets the most number of votes is that person. Now, if that person is somehow connected to A, B, C, D, E, will you blame the thousands of people who actually support that person?
So I think
Right?
what most people will say in return, right, with that is, yes, you and other people are chosen by the people, but because of your certain privileges maybe, and connection, you have more resources.
Absolutely.
And a head start.
And I've never hidden that, and I take full advantage of it. I mean, dude, I'll be stupid if I don't.
And
People have called me stupid behind my back for not fully, because they know that I can actually ask for more.
But you didn't.
Dude, in 2019, I did not sit here, even though
Right.
proof,
Right.
I went to the MCA with proof that 5,000 of my votes got stolen.
Right.
Right? I could have gone to my uncle,
Right.
who is the ketua umum of this partai,
Right.
and say, hey, that's my seat. Even my father was like, okay, that is your seat, because I had proof. Because the difference between me and the number two
5,000.
was only 2,000 or 3,000 votes, which is why he's the one who got the seat.
I see.
Because Gerindra got one seat. The difference between me and him was only 2,000 or 3,000. 5,000 of my votes got stolen.
You had the proof
So
of the
then I
5,000.
became the number 2, right? I went to MK. MK just said, oh, there's a masalah administrasi. So I did not get it. There was none of the caleg DPR that went to MK was dikabulkan. Gak ada satupun. Okay? So I respected the MK's decision.
Right.
Because that was, no matter if I say like, oh, it's unfair because I have proof. Even my saksi ahli was a mantan hakim MK. Kurang apa lagi coba? Right? Mantan hakim MK, saksi ahli, says that yes, her votes got stolen and by law she should be sitting on that seat. But I did not. Right? So this question, it's not a bad question. But unfortunately, Fadil, because of how broad it is, the way you termed it, even though I understand where you want me to go, the way you term it is very discriminatory and stereotyping of Nepo babies. Because I know quite a few of those of us who grew up within legacies, right? As a legacies, we call it like that's in sororities, fraternities. Legacies.
Universities.
Okay, right? You're a legacy because your parents are alumni or whatever. Who are fully capable to be where they are in politics. You know, I know quite a few. And if you discriminate and say, oh, you got that just because A, B, C, D, E,
they
we
diminish
will
everything.
lose a lot of very good people. Now, if you look at me and you say that I only got this position because I was a Nepo baby, if it's just because of that, right? That's your choice.
Okay.
If you say that I do not have the idealism, the integrity, I do not have the capability to represent the people of my district, go and be angry at the 50,000 people who voted for me. That's your right, you know? But do not put all of us in the same bucket. I think that's very unfair. If someone basically tells you just because of your father, just because of your brother, like you shouldn't be where you are. Right?
Okay, I need to ask this question. I need you to go, but this is very personal for me. Okay? The Russians and all this.
Yeah, a lot of personal questions.
I know. There's a lot of personal agendas.
One of the biggest things that kind of resonated with me, where I kind of agree, but I kind of disagree with you.
Yeah, sure.
Is there was sort of a backlash in your podcast with Inda G, where they talked about.
We're going there.
There was.
Yeah, there was.
There was.
Don't tell her.
No, oh my God! I hardly ever follow up on like what happens afterwards. Okay, what was it?
It was more of your reply that, and you said this before, like if you want to criticize, be inside, and if you
see how
it is inside,
see how difficult it is.
Right? If the people in power are still like that. Now, people know I'm the number one critic.
Yeah.
But help me to understand. Please scaffold my brain in, because I also want to go inside. But I'm also always scared because then what if I can't criticize as well when I'm inside? Because a lot of people tell me, my brother,
why do you
inside.
think many of us have gotten less critical as we are inside?
Right.
Because then we see things that we didn't see before. We know things that we didn't know before. That made us a lot more wiser and made us very aware of things that if maybe in the past, in more of our ignorance, we would be a lot more vocal about things. It does not mean that we care less. It just means that we know more.
Yeah, and I think it's not right to say that you become less critical, because I think you can be just as critical. But
because I see you're as critical as ever.
How it comes out is in a different way.
See, that's the thing. Like, because you know me, right? And I think a lot of people and that, you know what? To get to the point where you can take my word as the way it is, it took me a long time to the point where I have that trust from people, or I have that reputation. I didn't build that reputation overnight. I built that reputation through blood, sweat, and tears and perseverance to just stay where I am no matter what people say. If I ran at the first chance of people throwing rocks at me verbally, that I would have been gone out of this place years ago. So it's when I say be very don't criticize unless you, it's true. I mean I've said this in other podcasts, by the way, where like, what's the biggest lesson you learned when you were in DPR? And I say, and I stand by this, I will die on this hill. I said, God basically slapped me, metaphorically speaking, and just opened up my eyes that like, Sarah, you have no idea what you're talking about. The more I know, and I said this before, the more I know that I don't know anything.
Right. That's the paradox of knowledge.
That's the paradox of knowledge.
Yeah, it is.
And, the whole paddy, right? The whole paddy, rice paddy, what is it, saying, ya kan, di Indonesia. Honestly, wisdom does a lot of things. And I'm not saying you shouldn't be critical.
Right.
Yeah.
But be very careful of how you criticize and what you criticize. And what you say when you criticize. If you do it out of spite, out of just wanting to hear your own voice, out of wanting to show that you know more.
You care, you criticize.
And you know more and you're more upright and wow, this world and politics and being in here has truly humbled me in knowing that I have the same thing as like, the first question about incompetent and blunder. And I have no right to judge someone like that unless I'm in the position where I'm the president and I know exactly what I want of you and whether he's the one. If as a CEO, that's my job to say whether or not someone has made a mistake that is unforgivable or that is something yang penting SP1, yang penting you've been warned, or whether or not ini udah need to just pecat aja, like that's for me. But if I were just a politician, another politician looking at another politician, I have reminded myself over and over again to be just more self-aware and humble and remind myself that they have their own stories, they have their own struggles, they are also human beings. Yes, they have responsibilities, KPIs, right? They need to do their job well, yes, but I'm not going to be one to judge. Even if I do have thoughts on them, that'll be between me and God or between me and them. Because then I don't need to say it to other people.
Right.
It's
and
that's just me though.
But that's so interesting. And I bet like when you say be very careful, it doesn't mean like
be very careful of who you criticize. You don't mean that.
But it's like be mindful that
what you say. I didn't say who you criticize. I say, for me, it's what you say, right? It's our tongue has the power of life and death. I mean, if you just curse someone or you say like, oh, you're stupid, you're an arrogant fool, you're basically just telling them like, things that like, oh, they're not gonna make their job easier. They're gonna.
It's not gonna fix anything.
It's not gonna fix anything.
Right.
It's not gonna fix anything. But I would like to think that, hopefully the younger generation, weeboos especially, that we're wise enough to, rather than being focused on how other people are not doing things well, I hope that we can be focused on seeing how we're doing ourselves. I mean, what are we doing in our lives? Are we actually contributing? Are we just criticizing for the sake of criticizing, just to make our voices heard, just because we think that we're better and we can do better than others? I mean, I used to be in that position where I thought I could do things better than other people. But at the end of the day, it won't necessarily get the job done. I won't get to the position that I need to get with that kind of attitude.
Right.
Sorry, we
Thank
became
you.
so like heavy on
No,
like
but
philosophy and all
thank
that.
you. I needed to hear that because as a very avid critic,
By the way, I'm a fan of yours,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
like, I can always tell him personally.
Yeah, yeah,
I don't need to
yeah.
go out and be
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
yo, Andovi, da 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 da.
And
I'll tell you, like, by the way, bro, there are
Yeah.
things that you just don't know.
and,
And
by
I-
the way,
and I've done
I
that
will
with your
say
brother,
she has,
too.
and she has.
And
I'm not gonna say.
yeah.
which-
But
for
you
what.
still didn't follow her.
No, I didn't. No, I didn't follow you back because of that. No.
He took it personally.
I swear. I didn't.
DPR nih ngomong.
No, he's cool. He's cool. We're cool. We're cool. We're
No,
cool.
yeah, but I think-
Highest respect. Highest
Because
respect.
I don't want like this podcast to be another what happened with Inda's podcast again.
Got it,
I think
yeah.
we need to really underline because I think a lot of people might misinterpret when you say be very careful.
Yeah.
To it being like, oh,
I
be
know,
be
but
mindful that.
and you know what I've learned? You know what I've learned?
Ancaman ini here, right?
You gotta control.
Yeah.
I can't control how people,
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
but all I know is like, I know what I mean. And thank you for clarifying
Yeah.
that. And it's the same thing as like with you, when I can always tell you and be like,
Yeah.
yo, bro, like there are things you want to sit down.
Yeah.
Let's talk about this,
Mm.
then I'll tell you what's really going on under, and then you can make your decision when you know more.
Right. Yeah.
Right?
I do agree. When you're criticizing, you're actually wanting to achieve a certain objective, right?
Yeah.
And you need to be mindful whether this kind of criticism
And
is actually effective towards that.
I've been
right?
even like like verbally just like attacked because I I didn't criticize. I said to anak-anak muda one time in salah satu provinsi that like, look, jangan pikir bahwa untuk ngelobi sebuah kebijakan that you can do it just by demo. And then like, what you're telling us not to demo
That's
gitu
a
kan?
very hot take.
Of course,
yeah.
but I say because of my experience, gue sebagai yang di demo, it'll be a lot more effective if you come together with your friends and you say, I would like an audience with you, with people experts in that field daripada speaking out there
To
yang
the right
mungkin di dalam
commission
sini nggak
also.
kedengeran,
Yeah.
gitu loh.
To the right commission as
I'm
well,
not
right?
saying
Yeah.
demonstrating
Yeah,
is
she's not saying
you know.
don't demonstrate.
No,
Yeah,
demonstrate.
she's saying
I'm saying
not
there are
just
other
steps.
ways that
Okay, I get
could be a lot more effective if you just open your mind to how the game of lobbying is played. Right? It's not just one way. There are other ways.
Yep.
Sometimes can be a lot more effective.
Right.
Yeah,
You know?
and I think it goes back when you said, you're still keeping hold of your idealism, but you need to learn how to play the game, right?
Because if you demonstrate, somebody can go outside and meet with you, but that person might not even be in the committee. It has to do with whatever you're demonstrating.
Yeah.
Right.
You gotta learn who you need to lobby. Ya kan? It's communication 101. Like if you're communicating with someone who doesn't even care about what you're talking about, it's not gonna go anywhere. What's more important? You being heard, like as in the noise, or you being heard by a person who will understand and stand by and sponsor and support what you're fighting for to make whatever change you want to make. Because I'm also an activist. I'm an activist for anti-human trafficking. You know this.
Yeah.
That's been my stance for the longest time. That's why I even went to DPR in the first place. But I know I'm not going to be able to get rid of all the mafias in freaking Indonesia by myself.
Right.
I need to get to a position strong enough
Yeah.
to, because if I'm just like, perdagangan orang and this blah, blah, every single time lah orang juga capek dengerin suara gue. But if I get to a position where I can, that's the whole point. You want to get power, but what do you use that power for?
Yeah.
Okay,
It's about being strategic.
gotta go, but this is oh my God. I hope they don't get bored listening
they
to
won't,
us.
They won't.
Trust me,
They won't.
It's a lot.
Thank you so much
Thank
for
you.
this really fruitful conversation.
Thank you, Masana.
I
Thank
hope
you
it's
so
fruitful.
much. Thank you. Don't forget to follow her Instagram.
Yeah, and you guys can. If there are questions that I did not answer this time, just feel free to DM me. I'll try to answer as best as I can.
All right. Thank you.
Bye,
Bye,
Weeboos.
Weeboos.
Bye.
Bye, booze.